In terms of what Hellenistic philosophy is, so you have philosophy, which is philosophos. Phil is love. Sophos is wisdom. So philosophy is the love of wisdom, the pursuit of truth. Because philosophy is this Greek term, right? So it starts. You have the pre-Socratic philosophers who were doing things pre-Socrates, but it wasn't in kind of this formalized system as this. It wasn't thought of as philosophy yet. And then and then Socrates comes in, and then his student Plato, and Plato in that system kind of formalizes philosophy and makes it what it is, and has these divisions into like ethics and the questions of what's right and wrong, metaphysics and these questions of what the reality is, how the world works, um, and these kind of basic divisions that we've kept. That happens around Plato and Socrates. So we see philosophy emerge, and then philosophy has now continued for 2,000 years, right? But there's so many different ways you can take philosophy, because it's the love of wisdom. So in that way, it's the pursuit of truth, and there's a lot of different kinds of truth. So Hellenistic philosophy is a term given to philosophy after Aristotle and before the medieval period. Okay, so that's the timeline, is after Aristotle and before the medieval period. So historically, you have pre-Socratic philosophers like 500, 600 BC in Greece. Then you have Socrates, Plato, his student, and then Aristotle is his student. And this is kind of, we see the development of philosophy in the kind of the major schools of ethics and metaphysics and logic, the way we know it today. And then following Aristotle, you get Hellenistic philosophy. And Hellenistic philosophy, what separates it stylistically is it was focused on a question originated by Aristotle, which is, what is the content of happiness? So Hellenistic philosophy is all unified by trying to answer the question of what a happy or good life looks like. So in that sense, Hellenistic philosophy is incredibly applied and incredibly practical. There might be this stereotype, if you know Kant or Hegel or Heidegger, and you're kind of like, well, what does this have to do with real life? There's this stereotype of philosophy as being esoteric or somehow irrelevant to the real world. And Hellenistic philosophy, I think the appeal to it is it doesn't really have that problem. It's incredibly focused on the real world. It's focused on how should we live, and what's required for a good life.